Hey everybody, it's me, Sarah, again, your Christian forgiveness coach, and you're watching Forgive Everyone for Everything Every Day Right Away. And this is, I think I accidentally said part 4 of this series was the last one, but this is actually part 5. This is actually the last one in the effective prayer series that I've done. So this five episodes, this is the last one. And this one's on temptation, okay? So as we come to a close on this series, I want to focus on the last line of the Lord's Prayer. That Jesus spoke of in Matthew. And I also want to draw attention to something Jesus prayed on prayed in Luke the night before the cross. So we'll get there. So in the last line of the Lord's Prayer is about lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. So this is another invitation to accept the goodness that God wants for us, to lean on him, not on our own understanding. And I was just telling my kids the other night how God knows what's best for us, and what he wants for us is like so much better than anything that we could ever even imagine. And if we would just follow him and obey him, we would be so much more at peace. We would have so much more joy. We would appreciate things more. We'd have more gratitude. We'd have less fear, less doubt. But we get so caught up in what we want, what we think is best, what we think we need, and we can so easily lose sight of his plan. So, and like Jesus must have felt, sometimes what God wants of us is scary. We don't want to do it. We think it's going to hurt us, and the fear creeps in, right? And we know where fear comes from. Fear is the enemy doing his job of trying to prevent us from living out our destiny. Okay. So he tried this with Jesus, right? Remember when he tempted him in the garden? The enemy is already a loser, and Jesus made sure of that when he conquered death. But the enemy will still stop at nothing to put fear in as many of us as he can while we're on this earth, so that we will fall prey to that, so that we will live small, so that we will stay small, so that we want to escape that feeling of fear. So we do things that like make us feel good, that, are very temporary and not good for us in the long run. We get led into temptation. Okay. So I have learned, I have to ask myself in every situation, is this what God would choose for me? So now I'm not talking about decisions like where to live or even what to do for a living. I think we can be glorified by him and fulfill our purpose no matter where we are or what we do, whether we work at Subway or in a factory or at a church, or we live in, Alaska or New York City or Beijing, doesn't matter. I personally don't think God cares so much about those circumstances so much as he cares about, what's going on the inside and what we're doing with that, no matter where we are. So, which brings me to something Jesus prayed before he went to the cross. So in John 17, Jesus looked up to heaven and he said, Father, the time has come. Glorify your Son, that your Son may glorify you. So Jesus is honoring the Father by obeying. He says yes to God's will for him, because Jesus knows that by doing the Father's will, he will be blessed and it will bring honor and glory to the Father. So what is God asking us to do that we are like repelling against or turning away from, or thinking that we know better and just we're going to do it our way? When I'm unsure of the answer to this question, then I pray to be humbled and open my heart and mind to hear what it is that he wants me to know. And God always gives us the choice, doesn't he? And that is a beautiful gift, that we always have that free will. We are never forced. The truth is that we get to do whatever we want. We can say no to God. We can ignore him. We can run away from him. We can pretend he doesn't exist. We can even tell ourselves we are doing or being good while doing all of those things. I know I've been there in my life. I've ignored God, at the same time told myself I'm a good person. I imagine that makes the enemy quite pleased when we do that. Like, that's exactly where he would like for us to stay, which is like comfortable. So I think it's a false sense of comfort, though. And have you ever experienced that? Like, things seem like they're going well, we feel like we're pretty comfortable for a time, but we just kind of know like that we're made for more. Like deep down, we like can feel this tug. And it's fear that holds us back. It's fear of the unknown, it's fear of failure, it's fear of what other people will think, it's fear we might even lose some relationships in the process because we don't trust that his plan for us is better than our plan. We don't want to be in pain, like ever. We choose comfort over courage and pain and failure, which, let me tell you, is going to be a part of life anyways. But it's definitely going to be a part of life when we step out of that comfort zone. But the truth is, staying small leads to those things too. Like I said, like we're going to be uncomfortable either way eventually. Staying small leads to pain and failure too. Failure to reach our potential, failure to seize the opportunity to get good at discomfort so we can live out our purpose. Staying comfortable all the time is very tempting. No one wants to be in pain. But what if you knew that on the other side of that pain, that discomfort was like your beautiful, perfect life, a life better than you have ever even let yourself dream of. And sometimes I think of heaven, like when Jesus says in the Lord's Prayer, on earth as it is in heaven. And I think of what heaven is like. And if I were in heaven right now, what would I be doing? So if I'm in a circumstance on this earth and it was actually happening in heaven, how would I be responding? Because it's like totally different than how I'm usually responding, or rather reacting in my like fleshly body here on earth. In heaven, I always choose love. In heaven, I always choose patience. I always choose kindness. I always choose compassion and boldness. There is no fear. There's no fear there. There's no doubt, and I trust completely. So to wrap up, I just encourage you to read more about what Jesus says about prayer and learn more about who he was, why he wanted us to be like him, to pray like him, and how much that is for us, okay? Each and every single one of us. Knowing who he was and what he did for us and how to pray will strengthen that personal relationship, and it'll make our prayer life just that much richer. All right, I hope you'd enjoyed the series. Talk to you next time. Bye.